So, Jaws, you saw the list. You know what the story's all about. Biggest issue with the list for you?
Yeah, there's a lot of issues, but I mean, lists are always fun. They create an environment to talk about these guys. But seriously, Tom Coughlin, number 5, the guy has a lot of pictures holding Vince Lombardi trophies. And I love Andy Reid. He's a great coach, a dear friend. But how's Tom Coughlin with 2 Super Bowl championships at number 5? And you can't argue with Bill Belichick. Pete Carroll, obviously, what have you done lately? Pete struggled in New York. He struggled in New England, but he won in Seattle, so I'm not going to debate that. Sean Payton, very good. But it's just hard for me to figure out how a guy that has 2 Vince Lombardi trophies is number 5.
Okay. Stephen A.
Jaws, I respectfully disagree.
Okay.
I respectfully disagree. I do agree with you that Andy Reid should not be above Tom Coughlin. But I don't think Tom Coughlin should be above John Harbaugh. I really don't. I understand that he's got more Super Bowl rings, but I don't think listen, we can't ignore any longer that the New York Giants have missed the playoffs 4 times in the last 5 years. Now, the one time they made it, they made the Super Bowl, they won the Super Bowl, and I can respect that. But to miss the playoffs 4 times in 5 years, when John Harbaugh, for the most part, has been a model of consistency as it pertains to the postseason, even though he wasn't there last season either, I'm not going to put Tom Coughlin ahead of John Harbaugh. And by the way, even though I raved about Bill Belichick, and I still stand firm on that because we all know he's great, for the moment right now, guys, I think Pete Carroll's the man for the moment. I think right now,
Stephen,
you can make a legitimate argument.
That being said, what's the criteria for a list? Is it a what have you done lately list? And I would agree with you. Remember, Pete Carroll was not successful with the Jets, was not successful with the Patriots. Is this a complete body of work? And I agree. Tom Coughlin and the Giants have not been good as of late, but if the full body of work is taken into context, how do you forget 2 Super Bowl trophies?
Well, I'm not forgetting 2 Super Bowl trophies. That's why I wouldn't put Tom Coughlin at the bottom of the list. But when the only 2 times you've made the playoffs in the last 7 years, yes, you won Super Bowls, but 5 times you missed the postseason. That's my concern because it's not about certain criteria. I understand it. Some of it you take the entire body of work into account. Other times there are just things that you can't ignore. When I look at Pete Carroll, I look at a guy who's a player's coach. I look at a guy that won a team or won a Super Bowl championship with guys averaging around 26.4 years of age. You've got the pulse of young guys. You've got them playing at an elite level. They've won a championship. They look destined to repeat. I'm looking at all of these things right now, and then I juxtapose that to a Bill Belichick who I love and respect and think is absolutely great, but is still chasing a ring for 10 years now. The last time they had one was 2004. So if we're in the moment, I'm just saying that even though we recognize his greatness from a cumulative perspective, I can't ignore the fact that Pete Carroll at this moment seems to have an edge where with Coughlin, I can't ignore the fact that for the last 5 years, you ain't even make the playoffs.
Stephen A. Smith, may I speak?
Yes,
Thank you.
Go ahead.
This is straight from my heart. I'm no big Jason Garrett fan, as you well know, but he is ranked 10 rungs too low on this list. This list is outrageously insulting to Jason Garrett for many of the reasons my friend Ron Jaworski just made. You cannot rank unproven first-time head coaches above him. What an insult that is. That disqualifies the list to me. I can't. Well, what credibility does that have? And then you've ranked above him a Doug Marrone, who in his first year went 6-10 in Buffalo. Are you sure about that? And Joe Philbin. How many times have we been critical of Joe Philbin on this show? What has he done? He's 15-17 as a head coach. Jason Garrett, in that first half season he coached, went 5-3, and then the 3 straight 8-8. So effectively, Jason Garrett has never had a losing season as the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. And you got to give him a little bit of credit for that because, as Jaws just said, he's a middle-of-the-pack head coach. Well, that would mean maybe 16, 18, 20, somewhere in there.
That's where I would go.
Yeah, because, listen. wait.
Ridiculous.
Let me finish. You are winning, in many cases, in spite of your owner. You have to win in spite. You have had a horrendous slew of injuries on the defensive side of the ball. We all know that. You've had one defensive coordinator after another. And yet last year, you came within one Kyle Orton play. Remember, Kyle Orton had to play for Romo in the last game against Philly. You came within one Kyle Orton play of sweeping the NFC East last year. And you're the 30th ranked coach on the list? Are you kidding me? I mean, that's just straight hate of the Dallas Cowboys. And much of that comes from the guy I'm looking at.
You think?
Yes.
Okay.
Listen, you call it whatever you want. You call it hate. You call it. I call it reality. Let me tell you something, man. Let me tell y'all both something, okay? First of all,
Bring it on, Steve.
I don't think it's fair for rookie coaches who have not done anything yet to be labeled lower than somebody who's proven he hasn't gotten the job done. That's my issue. So it's just a difference in philosophy in terms of guys that haven't done the job yet. Why should they be rated lower than a guy who's had 4 years to have an opportunity to do the job, or 3.5, and still hasn't gotten it done? That's point number one. Point number two, I don't want to hear this stuff about working in spite of Jerry Jones. You politicked. You positioned yourself to get this job while in the mix, rising up, being the offensive coordinator, getting paid the same as the head coach, practically undermining them for crying out loud. And you got the head coaching job. And so it's on you to do it. Point number three, Tony Romo's your quarterback. DeMarco Murray's your running back. Des Bryant, Jason Witten, Miles Austin, all of these guys you had at your disposal. You had DeMarcus Ware and Hatch and these boys on the defensive side of the ball. You still didn't get it done.